Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Chapter 41. Before sneaking into Death Castle, Sumu had 12 free points. In the Castle of Death, he killed the skeletons of the 4 warrior ranks, the Skeleton Sniper, the Dark Mage, the Skeleton Warden and the Skeleton Striker, and brought him 20 free points. Coupled with the 3 free points brought by killing elite skeletons, the total number of free points he has now, has reached as much as 35 points. This number is enough for him to fuse his own warrior profession. Soul fire flickered slightly. Sumu started the second professional integration. The 4 career templates were suspended in the field of vision according to his will. With the previous experience, Sumu did not put free points into it bit by bit, but put 5 free points into it all at once. The 4 career templates are flickering slightly. Sumu breathed a sigh of relief. This means that his idea is valid, and free points can really fuse several different career templates together, not just the fusion of 2 career templates. Calm down. He put 5 free points into it again. 4 career templates shine brightly. Resisting the excitement in his heart, Sumu poured free points into it for the 3rd and 4th time. When the 5 free points were put into it for the 3rd time, the 4 professional templates had been broken and merged with each other, forming a dazzling light. When putting 5 free points into it for the 4th time, the light is gone. A brand new career template also appeared in Suemu's field of vision. Comma. Open black lens bracket template close black lens bracket, black warrior. Rank warrior occupation template. Bonus, health plus 15,000, strength 125, agility 100, constitution 120, spirit 50. Skill, tentative, comma, black warrior. This is the professional template of the 4 warriors as the material, which consumes a full 20 free points, and the exclusive professional template that is unique to Sumu Dark Warrior. Looking at Darth Vader's attribute bonus, Suemu's excitement was beyond words. Compared to his elite class template Reloaded Skeleton Swordsman, the life bonus of the Darth Vader class template has been increased by 6 times. The strength attribute bonus has been increased by 6 times. The agility attribute bonus has been increased by nearly 7 times. The bonus of physical attributes has been increased by 4 times. The spiritual attribute bonus has been increased by nearly 17 times. This is also because the Reloaded Skeleton Swordsman template he owns is much stronger than other elite professional templates. If compared with other elite professional templates, I am afraid that the life and 4-dimensional attribute bonuses of the Black Warrior professional template are more than 10 times that of them. Even compared to the 5 warrior career templates that Sumu got. The bonus of health and 4-dimensional attributes is also 2 or 3 times as much. Exploded. When he saw the attributes of the warrior professional template he finally merged, Sumu only had this idea in his mind. He can't imagine. It's just a warrior rank, and his professional template is already so powerful. If it is integrated again, it will be promoted to the Lord rank. How powerful will the professional template he will have in the future? Do not. No future. Maybe now. The gap between him and the Skeleton King is not as big as he thought. In terms of professional templates, Sumu is confident that the Lord professional template owned by the Skeleton King may surpass himself, but it will never surpass himself by much. Thus, the gap between him and the Skeleton King is only the level. Even the Skeleton King is difficult to transfer on his own like Sumu. It is very likely that in the distant past, the Skeleton King also started from a low-level skeleton, and changed his career step by step and advanced step by step. It finally reached its current height. That is to say, in the first 4 steps, it is Sumu who has the advantage. Because every time he changed jobs, Sumu changed jobs on his own. This means that when the level has not yet reached the corresponding rank, he has obtained the attribute growth bonus of that rank. For example, other skeletons can only be transferred to the elite class when they reach level 30, while Sumu can be transferred to the elite class when they are in their 20s or even more than 10. When his level is also raised to level 30, his 4-dimensional attributes will far exceed these ordinary elite skeletons. The same goes for Skeleton King. This means that in the first 4 ranks, even the Skeleton King can't compare to Sumu. The attribute gap between the 2 was only opened after the Skeleton King obtained the Lord profession. The upper limit of the Lord profession is 60. In other words, the attribute gap between Sumu and Skeleton King will not exceed the attribute growth value brought by these 10 levels. The Darth Vader class template may not be as good as the Lord class template owned by Skeleton King, but the gap between the two is definitely not big. In other words, at most, increase your level by 20. Su Mu can smooth out the attribute gap between himself and the Skeleton King. By that time, it's not that the Skeleton King is looking for him to seek revenge, but that he has come to hunt the Skeleton King who has ruled the buried ground for countless years. Call. Even though he is no longer human, Su Mu can't help but make this action. Not myself. It's hard to imagine Su Mu's mood now. It's even more difficult to imagine that the moment before, you can instantly kill your own existence, and the next moment the gap between yourself and the other party has narrowed to the level that you can surpass it in a short time. What kind of feeling is this? This feeling is cool. After a long time, Su Mu's mood just calmed down. He hadn't forgotten that the Darth Vader template had just been fused. He hasn't chosen a skill yet. He did not integrate it into himself, and changed his profession from the elite rank heavy armored skeleton swordsman to the warrior rank Darth Vader. Subsequently, Su Mu looked at the skills listed in the system. Chapter 42. Ding! You got the exclusive warrior professional template Dark Warrior. You can choose two from the following skills as the built-in skills of this job template. With the system prompt sounding in his mind, several options also appeared in front of Su Mu. 1. Shockwave. 2. Precision shooting. 3. Fortress. 4. The Orb of Darkness. 5. Bash. 6. Shadow Shuttle. 7. Skeleton Armor. 8. Death Ripple. This time, the system lists a total of 8 skills for Su Mu to choose from, which is twice as many as last time. The number of skills he can choose has also changed from the original 1 to the current 2. Why does this change occur? Is it because of the large number of professional templates that have been integrated this time, or because of the promotion of this rank? After thinking about it, Su Mu no longer struggled without figuring out the reason. It's always a good thing. 8 skills. The first 4 skills are derived from the 4 warrior professional templates he integrated into. It can be said that these 4 skills are the core skills of the 4 warrior professions. The next 4 skills are tailor-made by the system for the profession of Black Warrior, corresponding to the 4 directions of strength, agility, physique and spirit. Skills in the 2 directions of strength and spirit were first excluded. In a sense, skills in the power direction are skills that increase attack power. With the 2 boss skills, Death Slash and Sky Smash, Su Mu does not lack attack power. And the spiritual attribute, the power of the caster's skills depends to a large extent on the bonus of the spiritual attribute. Su Mu will not choose skills in the direction of the caster until the spiritual attributes have fully grown. The rest are skills in the 2 directions of agility and physique. Dexterity, precision shooting and shadow travel. Physical orientation, fortress body and bone armor. There is no need to choose the agile direction, and the precise shooting is prepared for the skeleton of the evolutionary chain of the archer, which is useless to Su Mu. The shadow shuttle, as a movement skill, makes up for a vacancy of Su Mu, so it is natural to choose. Fort body and skeleton armor. In all fairness, in terms of defense, the body of the fortress is much stronger than the skeleton armor. Only, when he thought of the skeleton warden's body that looked like a pile of skeletons growing up in a mess, Su Mu was a little hard to accept. Furthermore, if he chooses the body of the fortress, he will be punished with great speed. Comparison. The defense provided by the skeletal armor is not as good as that of the fortress body, but it is also much stronger than the defense provided by Su Mu himself. In addition, this skill will not affect agility, but is his best choice. I choose Shadow Shuttle and Bone Armor. With the choice of Su Mu, the professional template of the warriors of Black Warrior has finally taken shape. You have obtained the transfer information of the warrior profession template Dark Warrior. The transfer conditions are met. Will you change to Dark Warrior? When the system beep sounded again, Su Mu chose to change jobs without hesitation. Next moment, the hot current poured out from the void and poured into his body. Su Mu's skeleton body also began to change drastically again. After half an hour, the job transfer was completed. Compared with the original, Su Mu's image has undergone earth-shaking changes. The height remains unchanged, still 1.8 meters. But his appearance has completely lost the appearance of a skeleton. A layer of black armor composed entirely of skeletal essence covered the surface of Su Mu's body. This layer of armor is light armor, but it covers his entire body. Only in the position of the eyes did a small vacancy appear. This is bone armor, not real armor. But when this armor covers Su Mu, he doesn't seem to be a skeleton anymore. The black armor showed extremely strong defensive capabilities, and the sharp Modao flashed a terrifying cold light behind him, coupled with the powerful aura emanating from him at this time. If it weren't for Su Mu's eyes still shining with the light of soul fire. If it weren't for the fact that his body was still filled with a strong aura of death. I'm afraid no one would have thought that this powerful being like a heroic warrior would be a skeleton, an undead originally located at the bottom of the world. Is it my new body? An invisible but clear soul wave spread from Su Mu's soul fire. This is a new ability obtained after his rank and spiritual attributes have been doubled up. He is a skeleton. No flesh. Can't make sound. But the appearance of this soul wave gave Su Mu the ability to communicate with other beings. As long as the soul is intact, it can understand the meaning of this soul fluctuation. If there is a strong spiritual power, you can communicate with Su Mu in the same way. In addition, bone armor, that is, the layer of black armor covering his body, like bone armor, is an ability rather than a skill. As his physique attributes continue to grow, the skeleton sword will become sharper and sharper, and the skeleton armor on his body will become more and more tough. Bone armor and bone armor, which are close to innate abilities, cannot be upgraded with free points, as they will improve on their own as Su Mu grows. His newly acquired skill, but it can be improved through free points. 35 free points. Fusion of the Darth Vader class template costs 20 points. 15 o'clock left. Just upgraded the Shadow Shuttle skill to a boss skill. Chapter 43. Shadow Shuttle. Active skill. Consume 50 mana points, wrap yourself in shadow energy, and instantly cross the distance of mental attribute *1. Taking a look at the skill description of Shadow Shuttle, Su Mu directly consumed 9 free points to upgrade this movement skill to the full level of level 10. Shadow Shuttle. Active skill, level 10. Consumes 500 mana points, wraps itself with shadow energy, and instantly crosses the distance of mental attribute *10. In the previous series of battles, Su Mu's level reached level 30. His current mental attribute is 66 points. According to this attribute, a level 1 Shadow Shuttle can make him cross a distance of 66 meters in an instant, and a level 10 Shadow Shuttle can let him cross a distance of 660 meters in an instant. 660 meters. More than half a kilometer. Although, Su Mu only has 660 mana points, and can only support him to release a Shadow Shuttle. But when in danger, a Shadow Shuttle can let him cross a distance of 660 meters. This is a life-saving magic skill. Besides, Su Mu also has the equipment, Logriz's Crystal Ball. Usually, a large amount of magic value is stored in the crystal ball, and when needed, the magic value is extracted from the crystal ball and the skills are released. In this way, he can release Shadow Shuttle multiple times in a row. It can be said, after having this skill, Su Mu's survivability has been improved countless times. Only, Su Mu was a little confused when he saw the Shadow Shuttle that had reached his full level. He also has 6 free stats. According to previous experience, it only takes 5 points of free attribute to evolve Shadow Shuttle from a common skill to a boss skill. But, the 10th level Shadow Shuttle needs to consume 500 mana points to release it. After it evolves into a boss skill, the mana consumed will probably double. Logriz's Crystal Ball can store and extract mana, but cannot exceed his mana cap. That is, once Su Mu evolves Shadow Shuttle into a boss skill, his mana is not enough to unleash this skill. It must wait until his spiritual attributes grow again and can be released after reaching the minimum release skills. Of course, no problem. With Su Mu's transfer to Black Martial Artist, his spiritual attributes have grown by as much as 50 points. Even if the mana required by the evolved Shadow Shuttle is doubled, for today's Su Mu, it's just a matter of raising a few more levels. Subsequently, Su Mu, who completed the job transfer, left the area. Time flies, time flies. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days have passed. During these more than 10 days, the burial ground has not been calm at all. Su Mu's sneak attack caused heavy losses to the Castle of Death. After the rage, the Skeleton King shrank the defense of Death Castle. Not only the many warrior skeletons and elite skeletons originally in the Death Castle could not go out at will, but also the only 3 skeleton legions under his command were stationed in the Death Castle nearby. In this way, as long as Su Mu appears again, no matter whether he chooses to invade the inside of the Death Castle or attack the 3 skeleton army stationed there, the Skeleton King can arrive at the first time and kill him. For Skeletron, this loss is nothing. In a long period of time, it has suffered more severe losses than this several times. As long as the culprit is killed, it is still the ruler of the entire burial ground. With the huge skeletons constantly bred in the bone burial ground, its loss can be completely made up for with time. Only, it doesn't know. In the more than 10 days of its shrinking defense, the place where the bones are buried has changed drastically. Burial place. In a wilderness hundreds of kilometers away from the Death Castle, Su Mu stood there quietly. He didn't move. The breath exuding from the body is always growing. If anyone can see his attribute panel, they can find out that on Su Mu's attribute panel, there are countless information refreshed every moment. These messages, all of them are reminders for his skeleton brother to kill the enemy. 7 days before he changed his career to become a Darth Vader, Su Mu did not stop at the place where the bones were buried. The only thing he did was to enslave all the skeletons he encountered and become his subordinates, little brother. Su Mu is already a warrior rank. The Black Warrior formed by the fusion of 4 occupations requires more experience to increase Su Mu's level, which is more than double that of the ordinary warrior occupation. And the vast majority of high-level skeletons in the burial ground belong to Skeletron. The rest are hidden in hidden places that even the Skeleton Legion under the command of the Skeleton King can hardly find. In this way, it becomes difficult for Su Mu to gain a lot of experience points to improve his level. At least, it is difficult to get a lot of experience points by killing high-level skeletons. In this case, those who only have elite ranks, advanced ranks, or even basic ranks and ordinary skeletons become his only choice. Su Mu is level 30. It's a warrior profession. This caused him to have a lot of experience penalties for killing elite skeletons. So, he chose another path. Crazy erode skeletons, crazy enslavement brothers. When the number of skeleton brothers under your command is enough, let them spread out across the board and hunt the skeletons in the entire burial ground. There is no experience penalty for hunting skeletons of the same rank. And there are not many others in the bone burial ground, that is, there are many middle and low-level skeletons. When countless skeleton brothers scattered and hunted wildly for skeletons in the entire burial ground, the experience points obtained by Su Mu also exploded like crazy. Chapter 44. Apart from the Skeleton King's subordinates, there are not many elite skeletons in the boneyard, and even fewer warrior skeletons. 7 days before he changed his job to become a Black Warrior, Su Mu was running around non-stop, and the number of enslaved elite skeletons was only a few dozen. Warrior skeletons, none of them. It's the advanced skeletons, the number is huge. 7 days. Constant slavery. The number of advanced skeletons enslaved by Su Mu himself has reached thousands. Dozens of elite skeletons plus thousands of advanced skeletons. If they are full of younger brothers, Su Mu will have a sea of terrifying skeletons of tens of thousands. From the 8th day, Su Mu no longer enslaves skeletons himself. Instead, the thousands of skeleton brothers were divided into dozens of teams, and they began to expand outward from the center of the bone burial ground. Whether it is elite skeletons, advanced skeletons, basic skeletons, or ordinary skeletons that don't even have a professional template, as long as they are discovered by these dozens of skeleton teams, they will definitely be surrounded and killed, and become the experience points of the Skeleton Boy and Su Mu. In this way, when the 8th day came, Su Mu didn't need to hunt by himself. Because just the countless skeletons killed by the dozens of skeleton teams brought him a huge amount of experience. Its efficiency is dozens, hundreds of times faster than Su Mu himself going to hunt skeletons. The ocean of skeletons devours everything. Expands outward from the heart of the boneyard. After killing the elite skeletons, kill the advanced skeletons. After killing the advanced skeletons, kill the basic skeletons. After killing the basic skeletons, break into the periphery of the bone burial ground and hunt those ordinary skeletons that do not even have a professional template. How many skeletons were born in the burial ground? Nobody knows. Su Mu only knew that there was no need to kill all the skeletons in the boneyard. Even killing 1/5 or even 1/10 of them would be enough to advance his level to the point where he could crush Skeletron. Time flies. On the 8th day, Su-Emu's level was still level 30. On the 10th day, his level was raised to level 31. By the 17th day, Su-Emu's level had been raised to level 36. Level 6. With the addition of Darth Vader, a profession template that is not much worse than the Lord profession template, Su-Emu's 4-dimensional attributes exploded. Open black lens bracket name close black lens bracket, Su-Mu. Race Undead race, Skeleton. Template Warrior profession template Dark Warrior. Level 36. Status Health 25,050, Magic 3,660. Attributes Strength 968, Agility 783, Constitution 1005, Spirit 366. Talent Erosion, the only talent. Skills Death/Boss skill, Air/Boss skill, Phase shift Boss skill. Free points 1 point. Physique attributes, breaking 1,000. Strength attribute, is about to break 1,000. The agility attribute, has doubled. Even the weakest mental attributes, have increased by 4 or 5 times with the addition of the Black Warrior template. With such attributes, even if it is not as good as the Skeleton King, it should not be too bad. The only thing that makes Su-Mu feel a pity is the free points. After he had enough mental attributes, he consumed 5 free points and evolved the Shadow Shuttle skill into a boss skill, which is the phase shift in the skill bar. That leaves him with only 1 free point remaining. With Su-Emu's advancement, the skeletons in the elite rank can no longer provide him with free points. Only the skeletons on the warrior rank and the warrior rank can provide him with free points. The skeleton of the warrior rank has never been found, and Su-Mu has never recorded any new free points. But, soon, when his level is raised a few more levels and the attribute gap between him and Skeleton King is smoothed out, that is when he invades the Castle of Death and hunts the Skeleton King. In the wilderness, Su-Mu stood there silently, like a sculpture. On his attribute panel, the killing information of the Skeleton Brothers is also constantly refreshed, contributing a large amount of experience to their masters. Another day passed. When Su-Emu's experience bar filled up again and was about to increase from level 36 to level 37, other information was refreshed on his attribute panel. Your servant, Skull Warrior, is dead. Your servant, Skull Mage, is dead. Your servant, Skull Archer, is dead. The core of skeletons hunted everywhere. When you continue to kill other skeletons, there must be a lot of damage. This is normal. However, when the news that even the skeleton warriors were killed in the information appeared, it was a bit abnormal. To know, in the past 10 days, these skeleton legions under Su-Mu have already killed the center of the bone burial ground and spread to the inner and outer layers of the bone burial ground. The chance of an elite skeleton appearing in these places is about the same as a wild warrior skeleton passing by Su-Mu. The greatest possible. The core of skeletons have discovered the hidden elite skeletons and even the skeletons of warriors that have never been discovered by the core of skeletons under the Skeleton King. And only so. The skeleton younger brother under his command will be killed in large numbers in a short period of time, and even the skeleton warrior surrounded by skeletons will be beheaded and killed. A move in my heart. View switching. Su-Emu's vision switched to an advanced skeleton in the skeleton army. He looked away, and saw a black armored knight riding a skeleton warhorse galloping in the sea of skeletons. The black knight's spear also flickered with black light, and every time it was stabbed, several skeletons were eroded by the dark aura and fell to the ground. A knight. And it's a wild knight born in the boneyard. This discovery surprised Su-Mu. After canceling the control of the advanced skeleton, Su-Mu got up at the first time and rushed towards the direction of the black knight at the fastest speed. Chapter 45. The growth of 4-dimensional attributes makes Su-Mu faster than ever. In particular, the surge in spiritual attributes not only made the mana more abundant, but also increased the distance he spanned several times. It took Su-Mu more than an hour to rush from where he was before to where the wild knight appeared. During this process, in order to prevent the wild knight from leaving and losing its trail, Su-Mu also specially dispatched a corpse of bones from nearby to join the battlefield. Naturally not to kill this wild knight. Just stalling for time. The growth of the wild knight also requires experience points, and also requires hunting skeletons. As long as there are still skeletons to hunt on the battlefield, that wild knight will not leave easily. So, when Su Mu appeared on the battlefield across a distance of hundreds of kilometers, what he saw was still a figure of a horse galloping, charging into battle on the battlefield, and constantly killing skeletons. Skeleton warhorses are tall, even taller than those horses that appear on the battlefield in the human kingdom. As a kind of undead, there is no trace of flesh and blood on the body of the skeleton warhorse. However, its bones are extremely sturdy, and a faint trace of black mist permeates the four hoofs, making this skeleton warhorse appear more majestic than a living warhorse. To the opposite, the black armored knight on the back of the skeleton horse was a little short. Black light armor covered his entire body, and the knight's spear in his hand was fighting in all directions. This black armored knight who is killing all directions on the battlefield has clearly stepped into the warrior rank, but still gives Su Mu a petite and exquisite feeling. Judging from the slender bones revealed in the gaps in the light armor, this black armor knight was indeed a girl during her lifetime. A maiden knight, or a female general. A phase shift appeared on the edge of the battlefield. Looking at the black armored knight who was still fighting on the battlefield, Su Mu thought with great interest. Dark Knight. To be precise, the Bone Knight is not a native species of the skeleton clan, and cannot even be classified as a skeleton clan. There are also only skeletons. Some skeletons are descended from other races, and some are born from dead corpses in the nourishment of endless death breath. Bone Knights can only be descended from other races. On the advanced chain of the skeleton family, there is no such profession as the skeleton knight at all. Although in terms of appearance, the black armored knight in front of him is no different from Su Mu, but in fact the race of this black armored knight should be the Death Knight in the Undead family. Elite rank, Bone Knight. Warrior tier, the Dark Knight. Lord rank, Death Knight. This is the advanced path of the Death Knight family. As an undead race that is far more noble than skeletons, the birth of Death Knights is extremely difficult. Not only from the sinking of other races, a knight in the process of sinking must have the same mind with his mount, and the mount is willing to sink with his master, so that it is possible to become a Bone Knight or a Dark Knight. And once it falls, the four-dimensional attribute of the Death Knight will be blessed by the four-dimensional attribute of his mount. At the beginning, it is the Skeleton Knight of the elite rank. Coupled with the blessing of the four-dimensional attributes of the mounts with the same mind, it can be seen that the Death Knight family is precious and powerful. It can be said, under the same rank, except for the alien Su Mu, even if it is full of younger brothers, a skeleton cannot be an opponent of a Death Knight. Such a knight, it is only natural to kill the quartet when facing the highest and only elite skeleton army. Su Mu appeared. He didn't hide his breath. That trace of a strong aura that was far beyond the skeleton army immediately caught the Dark Knight's attention. To Su Mu's surprise, when he found himself, the Dark Knight not only did not flee, but turned around and charged towards Su Mu. A wisp of black mist lingered, constantly circulating on the skeleton horse and the Dark Knight, making the two form a whole. With this change of superimposing the two attributes, the Dark Knight rushed out of the skeleton army like a broken bamboo. Along the way, all the skeletons that stood in front of the Dark Knight, whether it was an elite rank or an advanced rank, all flew backwards under the incomparable impact of the skeleton warhorse, and fell to the ground far away. Su Mu took a fancy to the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight also took a fancy to Su Mu. The difference is that Su Mu looks at the preciousness and power of the Dark Knight, and wants to enslave him into his own little brother. The Dark Knight looks at the experience value represented by Su Mu. Charge. As he was about to leave the core of skeletons, the skeletal warhorse under the Dark Knight let out a silent soul neigh. Accompanied by this neigh, the Dark Knight is in great spirits. Its speed also doubles at this moment. Knight skill. Charge. Riding alone, he charged towards this side at an extremely fast speed. When he was only a dozen meters away from Su Mu, the Dark Knight clenched the long knight spear in his hand. Black light flickered. When the distance between the two was only 4 or 5 meters, the knight spear, which seemed to be able to pierce the city wall, stabbed Su Mu's head with an indomitable aura. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.